Doing the best I can.
I think you're all on there.
I'll just sign them. Like I just.
Okay. Right, we'll call the meeting to order. Good morning. Appreciate you being here. This is the August 11th meeting of the Board of Commissioners in the Frank Walter House Boardroom. Could we get roll call, please?
Janat,
Here.
Markey,
Here.
Matthews.
Here.
Nye,
Here.
Roloff.
Here.
Sauer,
Here.
Craig.
Here.
We have a quorum.
If you'd stand, please. Len?
Please join me. Heavenly Father, please bless those assembled here today and grant our commissioners the humility, discernment, and wisdom to make decisions, informed decisions, beneficial decisions on behalf of our fellow citizens of Benzie County. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Lynn. You had the agenda in advance of the meeting. Is there any changes to the agenda?
Motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Bob. Mark, you'll support. All right, one last chance for comments. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Again, you had the minutes from July 28th in advance of the meeting.
And I did have 2 corrections that I have went ahead and made already.
Trig moves to approve the minutes as presented as they are
That's correct.
corrected.
So-
Matthew spoken. Go ahead, Kay. Sorry.
Sorry. Who did you?
Gary.
get? Gary?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, folks. Any last questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, why don't we move into the public hearing for the CDBG grant? Tish, I understand you're here to present to us. If you would identify yourself for the guests.
Sure. Hi, I'm Tish Stave, and I'm the Housing and Energy Efficiency Services Director with Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency. It's a mouthful, NMCAA.
Tish, would you like this or do we not need to for you?
I can, just the.
Yeah.
the- right.
Sensitive. Just use the scroller.
So I'm here today to talk about the closing and the accomplishments that we had with our PY 24, program year 24, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, program income funds. So for a little background, I see. There we go. So as a background, Benzie County administers with our agency, through our agency, to spend CDBG program income dollars on emergency home repairs in Benzie County. We help homeowners who are 80% or less of the area median income, and that is set by HUD. So what we do is we do emergency home repairs in the form of a grant if the funding used is $2,500 or less. And if it's more than $2,500, it is a lien that is put on the homeowner's property. And when the title changes hands, then it is paid back to the county, and we can use those funds to do other home repair projects. CDBG is a federally funded program, and it was developed through an act in 1974, and we've been working with Benzie County for, to my knowledge, at least 2 decades. Oh, I think I went a little far. Is there?
Here.
Scroll backwards. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's sensitive.
Awesome. So program income is the principal and interest on loans that is earned through the CDBG local revolving loan fund. So as I said, the previous loans, we have some people that we helped like 20 years ago, and maybe they sold their home. Sometimes, unfortunately, a homeowner passes away and that money is repaid. We're able to use it again. We count the money, so it is in a program year. If funds are received between July 1st of a year and June 30th of a next year, all of that money that is collected goes into this fund. If it is $35,000 or more, it is considered federal funding, and it is distributed and has to be used under CDBG guidelines. So we're held to all the federal standards. If it is $35,000 or if it's less than $35,000, then technically they're not federal funds anymore, and it's up to the county's discretion if we want to keep using it for home repairs, or it can go back to the general funds. The program guidelines for this funding is that all projects obviously must be within the county of Benzie. The projects must be an emergency home repair. The units have to be owner occupied and must have been owned for at least 1 year when they apply. They have to be insured. The home has to be insured. The taxes and mortgage all have to be up to date. And it has to be a home that is either taxed in Benzie County. It can be a manufactured home as long as it's permanently affixed to that property and taxed as real estate. The homeowners have to be income eligible, so there's a whole application process that we put them through. And we have to gather at least 2 bids from licensed and insured contractors that meet the HUD and the MSHDA guidelines. Examples of some of the emergency repair projects are roofs, roof repairs and replacements. That is often what we're doing. That's usually what people are coming to us for. Also, well, septic. We do a lot of HVAC repairs. We can do some accessibility. So if somebody has an unsafe porch and they need a ramp put on, electrical hazards, if it's a fire hazard, and then other things that present themselves as emergencies, we can work with MSHDA to get those approved. So that is some background. And then a summary of the year that we just wrapped up at the end of June. We had received $36,154.53. So that did meet that federal threshold. They were considered federal funds. We were able to assist 2 income eligible households. One was a roof replacement with extensive rotting. It did actually, I do not think I said earlier. So $2,500 or less is a grant. We can help over $2,500 with a loan up to $25,000. So actually this roof had very extensive rotting and it went over that amount. The homeowner paid the difference. So often if the homeowner is able and it is more expensive than we're able to help with, then they can contribute, or we also have some internal funding or other grant funding that we can use to leverage. So we did a roof replacement and we did a furnace replacement, and nobody had to leave the home. They were not displaced as a result of the completed activities. That was the previous year that we just wrapped up. And this year that we are opening up, hopefully able to be approved to start spending soon, we received, or Benzie County received loan payoffs in the amount of $42,111.85. We are once again proposing to use these on emergency rehab projects as defined and approved by HUD and MSHDA. It will be used countywide, so anybody in Benzie County can apply. They have to be income eligible and meet all those guidelines we talked about before. Property taxes have to be up to date, insurance, mortgage. There's a little example. I always use a household family of 4 kind of as my yardstick. So $76,400 is what a household of 4 in Benzie County could earn annually and qualify for this funding. We will not displace anyone as a result of the proposed activity. So we're not going to do anything that would cause someone to have to stay somewhere else during the project. And I believe at that, we can open up to any public comment, any questions?
You need to, yeah.
You'll have to put the
If you
question.
would, just restate the question after she's answered,
Absolutely.
okay?
Sure.
Hello, I'm Director. Apologize.
Oh.
But I was just wondering how residents of Benzie County find out about the program. Is it publicized on the website or does your agency do?
That's a great question. So the question was how Benzie County residents can find out about the program. Is it on the county website also?
I do not believe so.
So we do advertising through NMCAA. We have it on our website. We do a lot of social media outreach. We also, our agency's been serving the communities for 50+ years. So we have a lot of partnerships. Most of our referrals come through other agencies, Bacon, some of the area aging. So yes, a lot of partner referrals, a lot of word of mouth too. When we do surveys asking people how they heard of us, that's by and large the biggest way. So yeah, thank you.
There was another question?
Oh, that's a good question. Average number of applications per year. So we serve 10 counties. Thinking about Benzie County, I don't have a number off, an accurate number, but I would say for Benzie County, we have at least 10 applications, I would say, a year. And we take applications and serve people in the order that they were received and approved. Absolutely. Great question. Do we help people find contractors? Yes, we have a list of contractors that we've used in the past, but we always welcome homeowners if they have bids that they want to bring to it. We vet the contractors, make sure they're insured, licensed. So we can do one of two ways. People sometimes come ready to go and they've got their own bids, but we certainly are able to help people procure bids also. Thank you.
Other questions from the audience? Questions from commissioners? Go ahead, Gary.
You talked about the threshold of 35,000 federal funds. Does that still stay in Benzie County? I guess I'm missing what happens with that. So the amount does stay here?
Absolutely, yes. So any funds that were originally loaned out in Benzie County stay in Benzie County. So we administer this program for 7 counties in Northwest Lower Michigan, but those funds, if they were originally loaned in Benzie County, they are paid back to Benzie County. They're used on Benzie County residents. Yes.
Do I understand correctly that part of the program is liens on properties, and currently the county holds a significant receivable for that, which will help perpetuate the program
Absolutely.
once those are paid over time, when houses either sell or transfer in some way? Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. It's a revolving loan fund. So that's really a great thing about the program is that, yes, it's in perpetuity as long as people are moving or selling their property. Yes.
Tammy, do you have a sense of how many we have in receivables at this point?
Yeah, I think it's, like,
750.
yeah.
So there's $700,000 to $800,000 in receivables.
Correct.
We don't know we never know the timing of how we're going to collect those though.
Nope, that's correct.
And I don't believe there's any defaults on that as long as we've had the program. Tish, you sometimes will match this up with other monies from the agency. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So we have a weatherization assistance program also at NMCAA. Those are federal funds that come through the Department of Energy. Sometimes we're able to pair those in the same household to do bigger jobs, not just the emergent issue. We've worked with Cherryland Electric in the past also that they help with their members. There are smaller agencies that we pair with, and we have private donations at time. We have what's called our GAP fund. So we've had people who, for example, their furnace went out and they've been using space heaters. And of course, that will skyrocket the cost of your electric bill. So we've been able to help with the electric bill with agency funding and then also do a furnace replacement with this. So yeah, we are very creative in piecing together funding, making sure we're able to help people.
Agency does a great job.
Thanks.
Just to let you know, we have 813,000 in receivables.
Is there any other questions or comments for Tish? You should hold your spot right there if you would. If you'd be comfortable, you do have a motion in front of you. I'm going to close the public hearing at 9:14. And I'd entertain a motion if you're comfortable.
Trig moves that the Board of Commissioners certifies the fiscal year 2025 program income for the Benzie County Community Development Block Grant and adopts the related program guidelines.
9 seconds.
Thank you. One more opportunity for comments or questions? If not, roll call, please.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Trigg,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
motion carried.
Tish, while you're standing there, I just want to acknowledge the agency. For those of you that don't know, I have a close relationship with them for several years. I've been their chair for 2.5. Agency does some great stuff. And if you have anybody, if you want to take just a second to describe some of the other services that are out there, there may be people listening to this that could benefit from that.
Oh, sure. Yes, we do lots and lots. Most people have heard kind of our two brand name programs are Meals on Wheels and Head Start. We also have homeless prevention services. We do home buyer education. We have foreclosure prevention. So sometimes people come to the home repair program, but they're past due on their property taxes or on their mortgage, and we'll refer them over to a housing counselor to help them make a plan to get current so that we can assist them. We have some food distribution programs, early Head Start. I said that already. Yeah, we do lots and lots of things. And we actually just purchased a building in the last couple of years over in Honor that used to be Shirley's hair salon. And we've got some infant and toddler socializations happening there right now with our early childhood programs. We also are going to be doing tax-free tax preparation there next program year. And we have some different staff that are working in that building so that they're able to meet Benzie County clients a little closer to home. We know our main office is in Traverse City, and that can be quite a drive for someone, say, in Frankfurt. So we're really excited to be able to be more local for you all.
Very good. Tish, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, why don't I open up the first public comment at 9:16? Anybody from the public like to address the commissioners? We allow 3 minutes. If you would identify yourself when you come to the microphone.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Kim Cole. I currently serve as the sheriff down in Mason County, but I'm here to introduce myself as a candidate for the 32nd Senate District here in your area. And I will tell you this, you guys have a far nicer commission room than we have down in Mason County. Our commissioners need to get up here and see your room because this is nice. So anyway, a little bit about who I am. 41-year law enforcement officer, 4-term county sheriff down in Ludington, 5th generation Mason County resident. My grandma and grandpa lived in Leland, so I spent my whole life traveling through Benzie County, traveling from Ludington to Leland to see my folks. Married to my wife, Gina, for 38 years. I have 2 grown children. I have 3 grandchildren. A Reagan, a Kennedy, and a Lincoln are my grandkids. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So I serve on many committees and boards throughout Mason County, the state, and nation. 2021, I was the Michigan Sheriff of the Year. 2022, I was the president of the Michigan Sheriff's Association. 2023, I was appointed to the National Sheriff's Association's Board of Directors, which I hold that position today. I represent Michigan's 83 sheriffs nationally. I serve on the National Sheriff's Border Security Committee and Traffic Safety Committee. In Mason County, I serve on the Lakeshore Children's Advocacy Center Board of Directors, Mason County Child Death Review Team, Mason Oceana 911 Board. I serve on the Mason County Historical Society, so I'm diverse in a lot of things going on throughout our community. My decision to run for the state Senate was not one I took lightly. I'd actually said no initially, but in 2024, the Michigan legislators cut $300 million out of school safety of $324 million that was allocated and approved money. And they don't even know what they did with the money. So my platform is pretty straightforward. Safe streets, safe communities, safe schools, And I believe government runs best at this level right here, at our local level. I think Lansing sometimes sticks their nose into our business, and they ought not do that. Case in point, taking $300 million out of school safety. In Mason County, that's about $300,000 we had to come up with for our school resource officers. Eliminated school resource officers and mental health counseling for our children, and that's just not acceptable. So I bring a unique perspective to Lansing, and that is just, why don't we just get back to common sense? That seems to be something we've lost. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. I brought Anna with me. Anna was my administrative assistant at the sheriff's office. She's now running my campaign, and when we win in November, she will be a full-time in-district person, something we don't have currently. It's a big district, 2.5 hours from one end to the other. So we need a full-time person along with your senator working in the district as well. So with that, thank you for what you do. It's a pleasure getting to see you guys. Be safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that'd like to address the commissioners? If not, we'll close public comment and go to elected officials and department heads.
Morning.
Morning.
Bear with me. I'm going to read through this.
For the benefit of the people viewing this, would you identify yourself?
Yep. My name is Donna K. Stevens, and I'm the director of Benzie County Central Dispatch. Thought I'd take a few minutes today to give you an overview of some of our numbers and activity for the month of July, as well as share a few other updates from dispatch. In July of this year, Benzie County Central Dispatch has received a total of 2,298 inbound calls. This includes both 911 calls and administrative calls. For comparison, in July of 2025, we received 2,230 inbound calls. This represents an increase of approximately 3.05% in our inbound call volume for the month of July. Our outbound call volume has also increased. In July of this year, we've had 866 outbound calls compared to 742 outbound calls in July of 2025, an increase of 16.71% in outbound calls. It's important to remember that not every telephone call generates a call for service. In July of this year, we've had 1,909 calls for service compared to last year of 1,783. That represents 7.06 increases in calls for service over the last year. Calls for service can include a wide variety of incidents and requests, including ambulance requests, traffic stops, 911 calls, and administrative calls that require assistance from one of our public service agencies. Our busiest day in July was July 30th, when we handled a total of 140 calls in a 24-hour period. For some additional perspective, the average length of a 911 call is approximately 2 minutes. While 2 minutes may not sound like a long time, those minutes do add up quickly when you're handling thousands of calls. One area that stood out in our July numbers was water rescues. 6 of our calls for service in July included water rescues. These are generally considered high priority, low frequency calls for service because they require multiple county resources and can quickly become very serious incidences. I'm very pleased to report that none of the 6 water rescues in July resulted in a fatality, so we did great work. For comparison, we only had 1 water rescue call for service in July of 2025. We're also working to increase community participation in service called Smart 911, which is part of the RAVE platform, which I believe is on the agenda for today. Smart 911 allows community members to create a safety profile containing valuable information that can assist emergency responders during an emergency. Information can include medical history and other important medical information, location notes for a resident, such as gate codes, or hidden key information, phone numbers for next of kin, and vehicle information. It's important to note that none of that information is public. When a phone number registered in the Smart 911 account calls 911, the safety profile can appear on the emergency communication specialist computer screen. This can provide our dispatchers with important information that may otherwise take valuable time to obtain during an emergency. Currently, we have 1,144 Smart 911 safety profiles created in our community. We'd like to see that number continue to grow, and we will be working on community outreach to help make residents aware of this resource. Finally, I want to take a moment to recognize two of our emergency communication specialists. I recently wrote letters of appreciation for dispatcher Dayton Faust and dispatcher Ellie Magnan after they're commended by one of our road patrol partners. During an assault call for service, the situation escalated to a vehicle pursuit and ultimately resulted in the suspect being arrested. Dayton and Ellie were specifically recognized for ensuring scene safety, requesting and facilitating the use of resources from an adjacent county, and maintaining the highest level of professionalism throughout the incident. These situations are a good reminder of our work in emergency communications. Specialists don't stop by answering the phone. Our dispatchers are constantly assessing information, coordinating resources, and communicating with responders, making decisions that can directly affect the safety of our community and public safety partners. I'm proud of the work our team does every day, and I appreciate the professionalism and dedication they bring to Benzie County Central Dispatch. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes in dispatch.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments?
Just one.
Yep.
Yes.
You did a great job.
Well, thank you. I practiced a lot.
I'm sorry, this is only open to the commissioners.
Okay.
Anything else? Donna, would you be prepared to speak for a moment for the public's benefit on how we fund the operation of Central Dispatch?
I can speak about it a little bit. I'm still learning our budgeting. Most of our, from what I understand, actually, I prepared something for the tax meeting because I wasn't sure I had to prepare something for that. So most of our funding comes from local and state surcharges. So for cell phones, those surcharges are what primarily fund dispatch. And then after that, if there's any deficiencies in our budget, it comes from, I believe, the general fund. From the numbers I looked at before the tax advisory meeting, I don't believe we are actually using that much money from the general fund. Most of it's coming from the state and local surcharges.
Leslie, do you know offhand how much the general fund needs to subsidize Central Dispatch?
I'm trying to get that right now. Not offhand, but I can look it up.
I think it's approaching about 250,000.
It's about that. We get approximately $760,000 from local and state surcharges. The problem with that being, from what I understand, is we have a lot of secondary homes in our community. So when someone has a cell phone, that surcharge doesn't come to their secondary home. It comes from their primary home where they buy their cell phone. So if they're from, let's say, Kent County, and they have a cabin up here as their second home, we're not getting the surcharges from that. We're getting, Kent County is getting that. So that's my understanding of the funding. And I'm trying to get more on board with budgeting.
That's a good explanation. In addition to that, landlines that used to be assessed, we have less and less landlines now also. So that's reduced the amount of funding.
Exactly.
Well, for the public's benefit, I wanted them to understand, since we're knee deep in that process right now.
It's, in my opinion, I'm passionate about dispatch, obviously, but it is an asset for our community to have this.
It's the entry point to public safety.
Exactly. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is there any other, Michael?
Michael Beach. I'm the equalization director here for Benzie County. Just like to share a few things we're working on. Unlike most of the other departments here in the county, the summer is actually kind of our slow period. Though we do have some increased counter traffic and sales that we're tracking. Kind of now is our time where we get to take assessment of what we've done in the previous year and kind of look forward and have a little bit of time for some extra projects. To that end, we've begun modernization efforts and a tool to increase ease of use for our residents, doing title searches or investigating property tax issues between the Registry of Deeds and the Equalization Office. So there's online tools coming that assist that process. Some are already in place. The biggest thing is we're in the process of digitizing some of our most used records. So soon those will be available at folks' fingertips rather than coming to pour through physical archives. Beyond that, it's a training season for us. We have training going on for our assessors right now in order to pass their audit of minimum assessing requirements. So learning the things that they need to do to stay compliant with state and local laws to make sure that they're doing their job accurately. Beyond that, me and my staff recently attended training on abatements and exemptions. So become more familiar with those programs that are available to our business owners and residents. And then this Friday, we are holding a L4029 summit to help our local treasurers become more familiar with that process of filling out the tax rate request and sort of demystify what some of those numbers actually mean and where they're coming from. Beyond that, I'm welcome to take any questions you guys might have.
Questions for Michael? Michael, if you will, just elaborate a moment. So you're going to hold a training session for the township, for the taxing authorities on the L4029, which most people listening won't know what that is. But
Yeah.
what other assistance, if any, do you provide the taxing authorities?
We've continued the practice of we send out information. There's a form called L4028, which kind of gives you the taxable value base and the millage reduction fraction. That gets sent out along with a bunch of other information they need. I think the most important of which is a draft copy that our office produces with the understanding that that's provided as a courtesy and that information needs to be double checked. So even if they don't attend the training, they receive a nice email from us with instructions and links to state resources and all the numbers at their fingertips that they need to produce an accurate L4029. Beyond that, our office remains open to any questions or one-on-one meetings as needed.
Thank you. Anything else for
Yeah,
Michael?
one
Len?
thing, you mentioned about scanning your most used or requested information out there. So it'd be online. Is that something that you would, because it costs time and money to do that? Is there any chance you're going to do any kind of charge subscription or anything like that to access this information or?
Well, the department money that we have into the project so far is incredibly small.
Okay.
So we're not going through a traditional outside scanning firm. For this particular project, I thought that would be a poor use of funds. It may be something that we need to explore down the line. But right now we have a subset of most frequently used documents that it's a perfect opportunity for staff to spend some extra time in digitizing those. We already have the tools we need, and I have the means to make them available online. So there's no plan to charge a surcharge right now because there just hasn't been that much investment in it. But if that should change, it'd be something we'd revisit and obviously open to advice.
Thank you.
Now, Michael, I commend you for putting on an instructional opportunity. Is that just for treasurers?
We sent the invite to treasurers and clerks. So whoever ends up being the person that prepares the L4029, that's the person we're interested in meeting with. But outside that, it's open to any township personnel that are interested in the process.
I think we're all privy to watching boards being handed an L4029 in their packet and having to vote on that, perhaps without background or instruction of what exactly they're viewing. So I just wonder if board members, if this is an opportunity for folks serving in our community, an educational opportunity for them as well, but I don't want to overwhelm your.
Sure. I don't know what the history of this meeting has been in the past at Benzie. It was something I was asked to put together, so I did. I think if it goes well and people find value in it, I would certainly be welcome to doing a couple a year or in a larger venue, whatever people have an appetite for.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course.
$220,824. A little delayed answer for you.
And that was what we subsidized Central
fine.
Dispatch. Yep.
Morning, Troy Hines, Benzie County Road Commission. Figured I'd come give you guys an update. It's probably been a while, but down to my notes here. So far, Molon has finished our paving packages and we put the shoulders on the roads. Barner plans on moving in next week to start our chip seal program. We got a few primary roads that they're going to be doing. We began our work on Pioneer Road from Goose to Homestead. We're putting paved shoulders on that and overlaying it and changing it to a Class A all season. Currently, Goose Road to Pioneer is all season. Then there's a gap down to Cinder. Cinder's all season and Homestead's all season. So in order to bridge that gap, we're going to pave it all the way through, allow contractors to use it through the spring. Other than that, just been getting ready for next year's projects, putting together kind of our millage list, where we want to go, what we want to do. I think it's going to involve a lot of chip sealing since asphalt prices have been kind of going through the roof. Not sure why, if it has to do with the oil or what's going on there, but we're working on it. You know, we just bid out a project down in Manistee through MDOT, and that project came back in, I believe, 60,000 over budget on a $100,000 project. So it's getting a little crazy out there, but doing the best we can. Over at the new facility site, we've been doing the dirt work there. We have the pad brought up to the grade that it needs to be brought up to. We're working on trying to get the water out of there. There's a lot of unforeseen water. I think it's basically perched in the hills. There's a lot of clay and silty soil there. So we've dug a ditch all the way around there to try to get it underneath 31. So far that's been working, but it kind of acting like maybe it's a spring now instead of perched water, which is a whole nother issue we're gonna have to deal with. But at least we found that and not a contractor, because that'd be a massive change order and cost a ton of money. But we found it in-house, so we're dealing with that. The bid pack 2 came back. I don't believe it's been awarded yet, but I know that the earthwork, AJ was a low bid on that, and asphalt, Molon was a low bid. And then the concrete, Kent is applying the concrete and they're buying it from Elmer's. So a lot of that money's staying local, which I think is really great. Bid pack 3 is now out. That's all the internal works, mechanical, electrical, security, all that is available on our webpage. It's also available on the Builders Connect and through OAK, our construction manager. But other than that, once those come back in, we should have a pretty good idea of what this building is going to cost. And we should be able to hone in on that number and have a very accurate number by then. Just by doing the dirt work in-house, everything that we've done so far, we've saved almost $1 million off the contracts. So other than that, that's kind of what we're doing, just getting ready. Winter's coming a couple months from now. I believe we're going to have some snow. Sounds like it's going to be a terrible winter, so we're ready for it. But
Terrible.
I think last year we had 150 inches, right? Something like that.
Worse than last year?
It could be.
I think last year was pretty mild.
What?
Why don't we open it up to questions for the commissioners?
I did
Gary?
have one.
Yep.
Because it was brought up to me, where you're digging behind the building,
Mhm.
and you're working on there. Are you digging a hole back there because of this water? 'Cause somebody said there's a huge, I haven't been there.
I've heard that. You know, I also heard we were talking to I don't remember the name, but if you're driving by the site at eye level, that pad is basically set at eye level. So when you're driving by, it looks like a massive hole there. Realistically, it's completely flat. This is kind of an optical illusion. There is a ditch or a swale area on the north side of the hill, but realistically, that's only 3 foot down. So there's not really a massive hole there by any means. We're just trying to channel the water around and down. The finalized plan is we're putting an 18-inch sock drain, basically, or tile. We're going to run that to the east side and run it underneath 31. But we are not digging a massive hole
Oh,
back
yeah.
there by any means.
I thought you were making a swimming pool back
Right
there.
now, no swimming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to take an opportunity for clarity. I continue to hear comments being made in the community about the funding of this project. So I just want to take a moment to maybe go back a little bit in the timeline that this did go to the voters for an $18 million project and the voters said no. And different funding sources became available to the road commission. And you can jump in here at any point, Troy, but basically the county is the fiduciary on this project. We have to have the bond for the 18 million, but the road commission will be making the payments on the 20-year bond, which you would hope will end up being paid off in much shorter
Much
time.
sooner. Yeah, we're
Much sooner.
hoping 12, 13 years is what we're kind of shooting for.
And in addition to that arrangement, you've agreed to set aside 3 years of payments to the county as a pseudo insurance policy that you will stay up to date on those payments. I just want to take a moment to touch on that because I think clarity is needed on that subject. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, there is a letter that I had written. It is on our Facebook page that it kind of explains how that funding process went about. But as you said, with the 2 millages, the second millage, we had to have the language in by August 15th for the November ballot. After August 15th, Governor Whitmer signed the new funding for road commissions. I believe it was October 7th or something like that. They increased our funding to a point that we can take over these payments ourselves without asking for any extra taxes or millages.
Excuse me, piggybacking on that. Folks I've talked to in one of my townships said, okay, great. We understand now that you're making the payments on this for this building. How do you possibly have enough money then to do all the roads and all the ambitious projects that are out there? Is there something on your website or on Facebook to say, hey guys, we understand the money, this money is going over here, but we still have plenty of money to fix potholes and shoulders and all that kind of stuff.
I believe it does kind of lay it out in my letter a little bit, but you know, typically we spend anywhere from $3 to $4 million a year on road projects. Next year, with the bond repayment coming due, with the new gas tax, marijuana tax, corporate income tax, with just the gas tax alone, along with our pension obligations being paid off, we can make that bond repayment and still have $3 to $4 million to put into the road system yearly, which is going to continue to increase.
Good deal. Thank you.
Staying on that subject, Troy, so with the gas tax, which is in effect now, it went from 6% to 24 cents per gallon. Are you already recognizing that revenue?
Yeah, we're usually, I believe, 2 or 3 months behind on the collections. So in the last, however it was, February, March, April, we are gaining on where we were last year because we had that low period between October and January 1 where the funding wasn't in place. So since then, yes, we are gaining. We're supposed to be way over last year's budget by the end of this year.
And I understand with the increase in the marijuana tax for wholesalers, that's being disputed, but the money's being collected and potentially will be dispersed in November or December. Are you hearing that?
That is correct. That is exactly what I've heard. I actually read something on that, I believe, yesterday, talking about the sales have decreased and they're still selling, I believe, 1.4 billion this year in marijuana in Michigan. Last year was like 1.5, 1.6. So yes, it has decreased, but not by much.
Any other questions or comments? Appreciate you informing the public. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Any other department heads or elected officials? If not, well, Leslie, 2 things. First, for the benefit of those joining us today remotely and in the room, would you introduce yourself and what your current role is, please?
Sure. I'm Leslie Bilby. Currently, I'm the Deputy County Administrator, but the board did vote to have me serve as the interim administrator once Katie Zeitz departs. Her last day is August 19th. She'll be going to the city of Fremont as the city manager. I've been with Benzie County for a year now as the Deputy Administrator.
Very good. And while I've got you at that microphone, is there any comment you want to make about the animal control report?
Well, the Animal Control Director is here. I would ask him to come up and see if he'd like to share some good things about that.
Sure. So if you would identify yourself for the public, please.
Good morning. Joe Duncan. I'm the director of Benson County Animal Control. Our monthly report for July, we had 0 owner surrenders. We had 5 dogs come in, 1 cat. 1 animal was transferred out. We had 4 dogs adopted, 3 cats. We had 0 animals returned to Benzie County Animal Shelter. We had 2 dogs on a court hold. Now they're off court hold and ready for adoption. We had 163 guests come into our shelter, and with our we had 45 people come in for assistance with food, shelters, stuff like that that we gave out. I will have the new animal control officer starting August 17th. He was gonna start August 10th. Some family stuff came up, so he had to push it back to August 17th. We have started doing adoption events on Fridays with Lucky Dog Bar and Grill in Beulah. We've done 2 so far. It's been fantastic. We've been having a lot of dogs and cats get adopted. So.
And for the benefit of the public, you also have Sunday hours now, is that correct?
Yep. On Sundays, I believe it's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And Saturday as well.
Yep.
Questions or comments? It's a very extensive report you've given us. I appreciate that. The public wanted us to give that a higher level of attention, and that certainly does it for us. Joe, thank you. Any other elected or department heads? If not, we'll move into the approval of the bills. Who had the responsibility of APs this time?
I did one.
I think I did.
Thank you.
So I'll make the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $621,408.46.
9 seconds.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Matthews,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Arky,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, so under new business in your packet, you have I guess the first one is the renewal of benefits. Leslie,
Yeah.
want to take that?
Sure. We've talked about this a little bit in the last few meetings. This is just the official benefits contract renewal that we've received from Priority. We're asking for the Board of Commissioners approval for using the Priority Health at the renewal they have provided for us, which was a 7.5 increase, and then also our other carriers and providers as well. This also articulates the contribution to the HSA accounts that the county does, which is a very generous contribution of $1,850 for double and families and $950 for the year for an employee taking a single household benefits, dispersed twice a year as we did this past year. And also to authorize the maximum contribution for active employees that are age 65 or older that are on the county's healthcare plan. So we have a few employees that are reaching that age that are still working and on the county's plan. So we're asking for the maximum benefit for that, which will be less than what we contribute to the HSA by law. So that is what we're looking at. Open enrollment will be the last week of August. So we're asking the board to approve this prior to open enrollment.
So for the benefit of the public, the commissioners have spent a good deal of time reviewing this already during a study session. Would anybody feel comfortable in making the motion as presented?
I'll make the motion. Nye moves that the Board of Commissioners approves the benefits renewal for Benzie County staff for the 2026-2027 benefits year, including Priority Health, Delta Dental, and the standard, and authorizes a health savings account contribution of the plan deductible to eligible employees at a rate of $1,850 annually for employees on a double or family plan and $950 annually for employees on a single plan, to be deposited in 2 lump sum payments with the first full payment period following October 1, 2026 and March 1, 2027, and authorizes the maximum contribution amount for active employees age 65 and older on the county's sponsored healthcare plan for a flexible spending account, and authorizes the county's administrator's office to sign the benefit provider agreements, and further that the Board of Commissioners agrees to opt out of Public Act 152 hard cap limits.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Could you do that again?
Nine minutes.
Could I get support?
longest motion I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Support that.
Yeah, okay.
You don't want it read back to you? No. All right, any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
motion carried.
The next subject has to do with setting the public hearing for the budget. Remember, we've spent a lot of time talking about the budget already. This is just simply to set the public hearing. We'll have another opportunity to discuss the budget. Anything that you'd like to add to it, Leslie?
Yeah, that's correct. The Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act does require the Board of Commissioners to approve the General Appropriations Act and the proposed budget. Like the chair said, this is to set the public hearing for August 25th with the hopes that we can approve the budget on the meeting of September 8th to adopt that budget. We're required to adopt a budget prior to the fiscal year, which is our fiscal year is 10/1.
If anybody would be comfortable in making that motion?
I can do it, I guess. This one's short enough. That the Board of Commissioners schedules a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 26-27 budget on August 25th, 2026.
Matthew supports.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Roloff,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
motion carried.
That's the only
Yep.
question I had.
Go ahead.
That has to go in the paper, correct?
Yes,
And it has to be available on the clerks.
it's there now.
Calendar as of Friday.
Oh, it's there.
Oh, it's there.
I put it on there this morning.
Okay.
There you go.
Just so the public knows.
And it will come out in in this week's paper.
Gary, I appreciate you mentioning that. I know this is a difference this year for everybody, but at my direction, I told administration to only provide one copy that was necessary for the public. The rest of you all received it electronically. You know, we're running short staff. There's a lot of time put into putting that booklet together. If at a later date it becomes important to you, we'll accommodate you.
Well, we can send it electronically, right? If the public requests it.
Yeah, and it's available on the county's website right now too. If you go to administration and you scroll down the page, there's a tab for the budget. You click on that and it says draft Benzie County fiscal year 26-27 budget. So you'll be able to see that there as well. You're welcome. And so this next, were there any other questions on that? Okay. For the next item then is just a boilerplate to balance the budget. The administration needs authorization from the Board of Commissioners to balance the budget at the end of the year. We're doing this a little bit earlier than last year. That's to take advantage of the administrator still being here, so her and I can work together on balancing the budget.
Trigg moves that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the county administrator, deputy county administrator, and treasurer to make budget transfers between departments and funds to balance the 25-26 budget for all funds.
Mark, you'll support.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Motion.
Leslie?
Okay, the next item on your agenda is a budget amendment request for the Veterans Relief Fund. Benzie County was awarded a $50,000 grant in fiscal year 24-25. That grant was not fully utilized, and now we do need to return the leftover portion back to the state of Michigan. So this is a request to authorize a budget amendment to essentially put that back into the revenue line so we can expend it as well.
Mark, you'll move that the Board of Commissioners authorizes a budget amendment amount of $26,099.35 to recognize revenue and related expenditures in the 293 Veterans Relief Fund. Roll off support.
Additional comments or questions? Please.
This concerning that we had a grant that that we're returning over half of it.
Somewhat.
I mean,
Bob, as
Sure.
chair of the committee, would you like to speak to that?
I'm really not up to date on this, as of whatever happened yesterday.
So no, our budget has been fairly comfortable. We don't use it a lot. But apparently there's something that's out there that I wasn't aware of.
We are having a special meeting next week
Yep,
to give Karen the opportunity. She was not available.
Aaron wasn't available at our meeting yesterday, so
I will say on behalf of administration, great conversations have happened since the awareness of this return of the fund. And going forward, we're working together with the director to put into place a grant management system.
So this is a subject that's being addressed internally.
Yes.
We had a motion with support, is that right?
Correct.
Any other comments or questions? Rhonda, thank you for your comment. Roll call, please.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloffs.
yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, speaking of the Veterans Affair.
Sure.
Leslie, you want to introduce this?
Absolutely. So piggybacking on that, the state of Michigan allocates a set amount of money for the Veterans Affairs Agency. And you are aware of what this amount is in advance. And this year, the Director of Veterans Affairs, Karen, would like to submit a grant application in the amount of $56,763. It's already earmarked for Benzie County, so Benzie County would get that amount. If Benzie County didn't apply for the grant, which we did not last year, those monies go back into the pool and they're dispersed to other counties. So it is a great way to take an opportunity to use some grant monies from the state of Michigan. And as I previously mentioned, administration is going to work with the director on helping oversee this grant to make sure that it is used to its fullest ability.
And this is the reason for the special meeting.
Yes.
Okay, any additional comments on this, Bob?
No.
I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, Matthew moves that the Board of Commissioners approve the grant application for the state of Michigan's Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency for funding in the amount of $56,763 for 293 Veterans Relief Fund and authorizes the Veteran Affairs Director to sign.
Mark, you'll support.
Other comments or questions?
One question is, does this require the signature of the board chair too or not? Because it's a grant application. Basically through the county too, I guess.
Yeah, I believe in the past, this grant application had only gone to the Veterans Board. And it should come to the Board of Commission for approval. You can authorize their board to sign it or the chair here. Either one would be appropriate.
And we do have times where grants are like signed by the sheriff's office without the chair's signature.
Would be good.
Good question. Thank you, Gary. If there's no other comments or questions, we already moved on this.
We just need to do the roll call.
Do it, please.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
motion carried.
Leslie, you need to get used to this.
Sure. So I'm happy to take the stage. I don't know if you knew that I used to be a singer, Art. As mentioned previously in the Director of Dispatch report, this RAVE mobile safety contract is for the Smart 911 services that provide some pretty crucial demographic information of the incoming callers when they call Central Dispatch. It's very invaluable in aiding their emergency efforts. This is a 3-year contract. It went up a little bit, which is why it is requiring the Board of Commissioners approval because yearly it is above that $5,000 threshold.
Mark, you'll make the motion that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the renewal of the 3-year RAVE mobile safety contract in the amount of $15,912 to paid the amount of $5,304 per year from 2061 911 Emergency Service Fund, authorizing the chair to sign.
Okay, Matthew supports.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
motion carried.
Rhonda, would you take the next one?
We have a request for proposals to hire a search firm for our next administrator. That was at the direction of this board at our last meeting. The RFP was put together and is being presented today with an outlined timeline. For your consideration. I don't know if you want to touch on the fact that we received an email.
I do
No?
not.
Okay. All right. So this would go forward out to the firms. Tammy would post it on the appropriate sites. I have a list of about 8 firms that have applied in our region recently for similar types of search to direct them to contact them directly for proposals. We've laid out about a 2-month timeline to go through this process, and that would begin the new process of actually having them move forward with finding candidates.
What's
for
the
our-
cost?
We won't know until they submit these proposals. That's what we're doing. We're asking for them to give us the cost of going out for a search. So, like I said, I have 8 for Tammy to send it to. And if there are any questions we need to discuss as a board, if we need to tweak the RFP or if it looks good as presented.
Rhonda, before we get there, it's a couple of things I'd like to add. First, we have some that we're gonna solicit directly, but this will be published in such a way that anybody could respond to the RFP. So it's not just limited to 8 groups. We just happen to know of 8 groups that are in this business. Also, it's important to note that with our last director appointment, administrator appointment, we went out with a search firm for that group also. So this is standard operating procedure. Quite frankly, it's the best way to manage taxpayers' monies to know that we're getting the best talent available. We may very well have somebody internally that expresses interest on this. They'll be given the same consideration as anybody else. But to be responsible, we need to go out to a search firm. I'd entertain a motion if there's no other questions regarding the RFP.
Mark, I'll make the motion that the Board of Commissioners approves the administrative search firm RFP as presented.
Triggle second.
Another opportunity for comments, Gary?
Yep. If we're dissatisfied or not happy with because they'll come and present to us like they did before.
Right.
But we will know our costs up front and everything else. I'm just saying, we have the right to refuse anybody, correct?
Absolutely. And that's written right at the bottom, and we'll receive their presentation packets. They'll be distributed to each board member. We'll have a discussion, and then we'll narrow that down to interviews, probably around 3. So this
I'm
board,
not in a big hurry.
no, I think we should be very measured
Yeah, we should
about this
take as much
process.
time as-
And yes, absolutely.
Well, as I've stated to this board before, I don't think we'll be taking any action until probably the early part of next year, because we do need to take our time.
Mhm.
And the good news for us is we have 2 board members that have just participated in this type of activity at Central Wellness recently. So we can,
Participating.
okay, so it's still ongoing.
We're working.
I
So-
this also for Northwest about 2 years ago as well.
Sure. And I've been through this several times myself, so this is the right process to go through. But Gary, I appreciate your question. We will be thorough about it, which means we'll need to expect to take some time to do it. And it's not always about the lowest cost provider. You need to get results that benefit the community. And that may not be the person that says, I'll do it for $7,500. It could be somebody else. But we'll all get to make that decision. We got an motion?
And then we have a second.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Matthews,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. The next 3 items have to do with ballot initiatives. before we get into that, I'd like to get, for the benefit of the public, explain how we even got to these decisions on these ballot initiatives. There are members of the Tax Advisory Board that are here today. Randy, you chaired it. Jason, you were part of it. Would one of you be willing to share with the public the process? Yeah, please, both of you.
Randy Rice, Chair of the Tax Advisory Board.
Yeah, I'm Jason Barnard, Supervisor for Benzonia Township, and I represented the county, the supervisors of Benzie County on that. Go ahead if you want to.
I was going to see if there's any questions to start out with.
Well, Randy, if you would explain the process, if you feel comfortable, talk about the makeup of the committee, what the role of that committee is, how maybe the fact that you guys been meeting, since January?
Yeah.
Could you share all of that? Because the public is going to want to know, how did we get to this point after the August 4th election?
If I remember correctly, the board is made up of representative of the township supervisors, the county administrator, representative for the county's treasurers.
Yep.
Also a general public person and just independent school district representative,
ISD.
and I can't remember.
Appointment by the judge.
Oh, the judge appointment, yeah, which was,
Yeah.
who was Mandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this started, you know, like I said, many moons ago, and it was tough to decide what to, I mean, obviously, we all realize that something has to be done. We removed the word indefinite, not long ago, which brings us to where we are now. We have to put something on the ballot. I think it was more difficult the first time than it was this last time, but I mean, I don't know how many meetings we had. We had over
At least 1 month.
yeah. And
But the first proposal is, well, let me back up some more. We were charged by the commissioners to come up with a recommendation to them in order to have a ballot issue for millages in the county for operating expense for the county. During our first go around, we had discussed about rolling in 2 smaller millages back into the general fund, a slight increase in the operating capital for the county, and
that was the tough part,
yeah,
I've heard for years that people like having the millages separate. But then again, I've heard the exact opposite. So trying to come up with which is the best way to go was difficult. And I mean, we still don't really know, but we feel this is the best route.
So the second time around, after it was defeated by 9 votes, I saw a lot of comments online, and I talked to other people. They say no is no. Why are they going after it again? They're going to shove it down our throats. But what people don't understand is expenses go up, and not only does my expenses at home go up, but also for the county goes up. And unfortunately, the county relies on taxpayer money to fund its operations. And with this latest proposal that we are presented to the board, we decided to take the 2 smaller millages off, let people decide if that's what they want individually on the ballot, and just do a smaller increase. So instead of being able to project repairs and funding in the distant future, now it's just going to be an immediate future. Things need to be replaced, repaired.
And the townships are all at 1.22 originally back in 1985, I believe. I mean, we made the decision to recommend taking that to 1 mil. I mean, a lot of people think that it's 1 mil anyway. 1.22 is kind of an oddball anyway. So that was dropped as well. So it's a big change. I mean, removing the two, what do we have here?
Animal
Animal control and team.
Resource officer.
Yeah, and the resource. Removing those, but then there's two more questions on the ballot. Oh, and there's gonna, the school's coming back, so there's gonna be a lot of questions again.
Just want to make a correction. It's TNT and the.
Oh, it is.
control.
Oh, TNT.
And some of the comments I'd heard from people is that they're afraid that the Headley rollback is not in effect. They're mixing up what the county voted on to eliminate the indefinite to this vote was that it's going to be set at this rate. It's always going to go up. Fear that the Headley amendment is not going to be in effect, but it still is in effect. It's a state law.
It's a state.
And I don't know during the course of the public information that went out that people realized that, or it was broadcast out so people would know that it's still in effect. So, the most amount would be coming fiscal year. Then of course it's going to roll back a percent or roll back the percentage for next year. So it is an increase, but the rollback from the Headley is still in effect. And a lot of people in the public didn't realize that. They thought, like I said, when we voted it off ballot, or voted it ballot, then it's gone.
You can't pause,
No.
So I'm just going to kind of summarize a little bit, maybe a little more than a summarization. In, I believe, April of 25, this board was first put together, but there was no activity in 2025 on it. We began talking about it more earnestly in January for this year, remembering that in 2024, we removed the language indefinite and it had a 2-year sunset. So we had to deal with it at that point. There was, for many years, a discussion about could we begin to roll in the special millages so we're not looking at what amounts to 12 special millages, which is in excess of what most counties have. So that was part of the process in your thinking as I remember it.
That's correct.
When it was defeated, as I remember the conversation, and some of us were in that discussion last week, it was decided maybe the public really wants to continue voting on those special millages. There's actually 3 of them. One of them's just not expired yet. That's school resource officer. And the long-term vision became a little shorter-term vision, and you reduced the recommendation by 0.22 mils, both for the townships and the county.
That's correct.
And that was based on a projected budget. It is more than what we need to operate the county. But keep in mind, we have to put money aside every year for forecasted capital expenses. Otherwise, we're forced to do that out of 1 year's revenue stream. And so, yes, there is a little bit more in there than what we need to operate the county, but that money then gets restricted. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it gets identified as money needed for capital expenses because we have a 5-year capital plan where we can anticipate automobiles, technology, building repairs, carpeting, the whole gamut of anything that would represent a capital expense. Is that a fair way to describe it?
It is. And that's a good way to operate. I mean, you don't want to run into a situation where you have all these expenses and the funding isn't there. Then you're forced to Band-Aid or pay out of the general if you can. It's difficult.
The general funds, the general operating fund for the county, our surplus is 0.25% of the total year's revenue. So it's not like we're sitting on a pile of money that isn't already identified. It's not even a full year's worth of savings available. So the other monies are identified for these capital expenses that I just described to you. But that would be irresponsible of us not to consider what the future needs of the county are.
Indeed.
So you have a recommendation that we're going to be looking at here today. The reason why we're looking at the language for the ballot for animal control and drug enforcement is because those millages have expired. And we need to get those back on the November ballot. And the millage amount set for that is at the discretion of the commissioners. That does not fall to the allocation board. Or I'm sorry, not the allocation board, the advisory board. However, the general operating fund does fall to the advisory board. And what we'll be acting on today here is what you guys have recommended. Let's make it very clear. This is coming from the advisory committee and it's an up or down vote. We either accept it or we send it back. And quite frankly, we've got to have the ballot language in by 4 o'clock this afternoon. So unless we want to go without any millage for the county next year, we need to act on this today.
We did look at other options. We looked at multiple. And this seemed to be collectively the best route.
As I remember, for the last year and a half since April of 25, you guys have been reviewing the county's budget, the numbers, what the real needs are for the county.
Not just our county, but counties across the state. Pretty deep dive into all that stuff.
Okay, I wanted the public to have the opportunity to understand, how did we get here today? And if you guys will kind of hang around for a moment, we're going to have to take some action item here, I believe. Okay?
Okay.
So the first thing that we're dealing with is, Leslie, do you want to take it?
Sure. The animal control millage, as mentioned, has expired. So this would be to approve the language on the ballot for a 0.21 mil, which is an increase for animal control, but the community has made their voice heard that they wanted to see improvements in animal control. We did that by adding another animal control officer who will begin next week. There's improvements that need to be done to the building that are requirements of the state. So this slight increase allows for us to continue investing in our animal control shelter and officers for the benefit of the community. So the request for this millage is the 0.21 mils. This would go on the November ballot, and then we would, if approved by the public, we would then amend our L 4029, so it would be on the December tax bill.
And the strategy
Michael?
here, the strategy is to recognize the public's input regarding how we manage animal control in the animal shelter.
Correct.
We haven't had a animal control officer in addition to the director for a while. And what we learned is we needed 2 of them in order to be responsive to the community.
Yes, that's correct. And as I understand, and the director is still here, it's been quite a busy summer. They've done a lot of good public events, but they have also received a lot of animals that have been in dire estates that they've had to help take care of and manage. And I think it's been a lot for the shelter staff. And it has been expressed to me that our director can't wait for the officers to start next week. So this helps us continue that trend.
I'd entertain a motion, and we can open it up to discussion again after that.
Mark will make the motion that the Board of Commissioners adopts the resolution submitting to a vote of the electorate a special millage for a county animal control services, certifying ballot language for the November 3rd, 2026 ballot.
Roll-up support.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, I'd go for a roll call, please.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Leslie, do you want to introduce the
Sure.
next one?
Yes, the next one is regarding the TNT officer, as we spoke about a little bit earlier, that millage has also expired. So this would essentially operate in the same way that the animal control request is. It will be on the November ballot. If approved by the public, then this would also go into the winter tax bill. This is a 0.1 mil that had rolled back. So the intention is to seek approval of the millage. It's a restoration and renewal, as I understand here.
Under Sheriff Hubers, would you like to speak to this at all?
Good morning, Greg Hubers, Undersheriff for Benzie County Sheriff's Office. This position has been in place for years. It is essential for the drug enforcement, not only within our community, but within the area. This isn't an increase other than the rollback that you mentioned. That money is pretty equal each year. It's what it takes to fund that officer. Without this millage, that officer will be pulled from that team. I personally know from my years, both with the state police and with the sheriff's office, if you pull your person from the team, you don't get the drug team attention in your county. They work elsewhere where they supply a person to assist in the team. It's part of a team playing thing. So this is really important to the drug enforcement within our county and within the Northern Michigan area.
So Greg, we have one officer that is, one deputy that's assigned to this, but as an aggregate, how many are available when we have an incident in Benzie County?
When they are fully staffed at TNT, they have both a north team and a south team, and they would have 15 available just in this immediate area.
So for the investment of one deputy, we're getting the resources of 14 more.
Along with the administration of that unit and the seizure dollars, the state police handles all of the administration of that unit. So really, we get about 18 people for the investment of one person.
Other questions for the undersheriff? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion. We can open it up after that.
9 moves that the Board of Commissioners adopt the resolution submitting to a vote of the electorate a special millage for a county drug enforcement program certifying ballot language for the November 3rd, 2026 ballot.
Matthew, support.
I'd open it back up for comment. Gary?
Just one comment, because it appears on every ballot about the possible capture of money for Downtown Development Authority and now the Honor Corridor Authority. Would you please explain that to the public, how that works and how that money is taken out of this?
Leslie, are you comfortable with that?
Michael should.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with answering that one.
Michael?
Also was not expecting this question. Again, this is Michael Beach, the
Yeah.
Equalization Director. So I'll speak very broadly about it, and if anybody would like additional specifics, feel free to reach out to my office and we can go through them together. But essentially, it limits taxable value growth in those areas, and that tax base that's kind of frozen, whatever you freeze it at and whatever additional appreciation occurs, that kind of becomes the new tax base for those programs. So whatever tax dollars, again, these are the areas I'm not super specific on, but a portion of those tax dollars is made available to those entities to fund projects, whether it's improving public services like sidewalks or improving facades along the 31 corridor. It reduces a little bit of our tax base to make it available for those specific functions under separate authorities.
Michael, as I understand it, though, the only dollars that are diverted to those activities are for people that reside in those taxing districts. Is that correct?
You would be a better resource on it at this moment than I would be, but I trust.
That's my understanding. So someone in Elmira Township that looks at this and says, why would I want my dollars to go to Frankfurt? Their dollars aren't. It's only if you're within that taxing unit do they divert a percentage of those funds. And if somebody can correct me on that, I'm open to it, but that's my understanding.
I apologize for the area of incomplete knowledge.
Well, maybe we can discuss that in the next meeting, but I know that's a concern for the public. They go to vote, they're looking at that saying, oh, it's like you said,
I'll have that information at my fingertips for
Thanks,
next meeting.
Mike.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Gary. I do remember that being an issue and I mean, I defer to Tammy, but this is language that we're given, correct? This isn't
Right.
anything that
And it
we've
has to, yeah.
added on our own. But it's unfortunate that there's not a better understanding of why that's in there for the general public because they see it and it's distracting.
Confusion is a huge problem when it comes to voting, so go from there.
So I'm glad you commented on that, the both of you. I've heard the comment also, well, why can't you simplify the language? And believe me, if we could, we would. But these are state mandates put together by attorneys, no surprise. We cannot make it any less complicated. We would if we could. If there's no other questions, I'd entertain a motion.
We already have a motion and a second.
All right,
Thank you.
let's do the roll call then.
Roloff?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Janat?
Yes.
Markey?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Nye?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Thanks for keeping me on track there. All right. The next memo was written by Katie, but Leslie, do you want to
Yeah.
take that?
Sure, I can start the introduction. I will also invite the equalization director up, should there be some more to add or questions for him. But this is the 4.95 total request for the November ballot. That is for the county of Benzie, which is that 3.77 for the general operating fund. That is less that 0.2 that went to the voters in August. And then we reduced the townships to the 1, also the reduction by the 0.2, and then the intermediate school district remains the same at 0.18. So this proposal is to essentially have a 4.95 mil request that involves all 3 of those millages there. So that's what the Tax and Limitation Advisory Committee came up with and voted yes for, and that's what they're asking you today to approve or not.
So this is also confusing for people. And is anybody, and I'm not the one that can explain it very well, but why is the township tied to the county?
Michael Beach again. It has to do with Michigan's Constitution and the 15 mil limit of what the local government as a whole is allowed to collect. So it used to be that schools were also included in that 15 mil limit until the passage of Proposal A. And that reduced whatever the schools were getting in 1993 out of that available pool. So the reason that the county and the townships are tied together is for consideration of that 15 mil limit. So after you consider what's been given to the schools, and then in our particular case, the ISD is controlled by another county, so we have no authority to modify that millage. What you're left with is deciding what happens between the remaining mills for the townships and the county.
While you're up there, Michael, so let's address for a minute the ISD. That's not something that the advisory board directed us on. Can you explain why it's on our ballot and what control, if any, we have on that?
Yeah, so the laws regarding this are very specific, and we just talked about specific ballot language. This is one of them. The verbiage that you saw in the primary ballot was prescribed by law, and it requires that we include the ISD information even though we lack control. So our ISD is controlled by the voters in Kalkaska County. That's where our ISD head is at. So unless they approve some sort of change to that, we're bound by what it's previously been set at, which in this case is 0.18.
And they're not asking for any increase.
Not to the best of my knowledge.
So if they did ask for an increase, would it come back to our voters?
I believe not. I believe it would go to the Kalkaska voters, though. If they were being good stewards, we would all be involved in the process.
That begs the question of, if this millage fails or we don't pass it, do they still get to charge their 0.18?
That would be my understanding.
Then why is it on our ballot? I mean,
it has to be.
I know
Yeah.
you can't answer that question. People would be wondering.
I think it's the thing of you have legislators making laws over the course of, in this case, hundreds of years, and they don't have the opportunity to confer with them, and it's not always easy to see when you pass a law, how those laws will interact with each other. So.
Randy or Jason, do you want to talk about how we arrived at a 2-year renewal versus something different?
Randy Rice again. Reason why we stayed with the 2 years was a lot of the input I had before the primary and after the primary, and during our last board meeting. 2 years would give the taxpayers a chance to see how the county is going to spend their money. In 2 years, it comes up to another vote. It doesn't mean it can't change to 4 years, 10 years. It could change to whatever the county commissioners decide to change it to. But that's the reason why we kept that too, was just let the public know that money is being spent properly, not just willy-nilly on that project.
An immediate.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're talking about even years is so we don't have to hold elections on off years, which would actually cost the local taxpayers money.
That's correct.
So I'm going to break protocol for a moment. I hope you'll indulge me. But is there anybody in the public that would have questions for these gentlemen that sat on the advisory board? Okay. All right, thank you.
One hand
Please.
and two.
I'm going to restate the question so that those online, to summarize, you would like to know, where do I find the information on how the county spends your tax dollars? Okay. Randy, Leslie, do you want to address that?
Yeah, sure. I would be happy to. I would recommend you start with administration, our office. We have access to the budget to walk you through it. And because I agree, when you look at that thick stack of paper that's produced, the draft budget, it is hard to interpret. So it does require a conversation sometimes to sit down and look through it. We're more than happy to do that in the administration office. I know my department heads are more than happy to walk through how they specifically spend their funds as well. So I would encourage the public not to get intimidated by that draft budget when you see it, and that it's okay to come into administration and say, can you really help me digest this? Because we all need that when we're looking at that big document. We do publish this information on our website. We try to be as informative as we can. I know in the past, the administrator had attended all of the township meetings and we made ourselves available, but we also feel sometimes there's a disconnect, and we would be more than happy should the public come into our office and want information. There are plenty of resources out. Your commissioners can also talk to you about the budget and, in your township that they represent as well.
I'm not sure if there's a new one or not, but there used to be a really good handout.
Budget at a
Yeah.
glance.
Yeah,
Budget at a glance.
there you go. Budget at a glance. That's produced by the Board of Commissioners. And that is an excellent source of information.
Yeah, and that's available on the clerk's counter as well. Right now, we have some too.
Yeah, gotta save them for something. Give
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Yeah, there you go, Gary.
I think it's important that the
Great.
public
Yeah.
has access to the administration for more detail. But to understand the process a little better, the process for the county in budgeting starts in May of that given year. The commissioners probably spend, over the course of at least 3 different meetings, looking at line item by line item of that budget. We also bring in committee heads and department heads and other elected officials to share with us why they're making their request. There is an enormous amount of time spent at looking at these budgets prior to us even getting to this point. Any other comments, Thor? So for the benefit of those online, the question is, to summarize, is that the ballot doesn't reference the Headley rollback still being in effect. And is there anything that we can do about that? Is that what you're asking?
They do not understand what the proposal even is. That we should- all the experts found that all record.
Well, that was 2 of the 9 votes I needed. Michael, you want to speak to that?
Michael Beach, again, I'll just stress that that ballot language is prescribed by law. So as far as us adding, removing, or changing it anyway, we cannot do that without breaking the law. No, nope.
Yeah.
I would say that sincere efforts were made on behalf of multiple people that went above and beyond the call of their position. I know of people in administration that have spent a lot of hours making sure that that information was available to folks. And I believe we did everything we could. It's hard not to live with regrets when it's a failure by that much. But I think we did everything we could to make that information available. If you had suggestions for us about how to make that easier or would like a one-on-one conversation, I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas on it. Very good. Thank you.
So to be clear, a reset and approval of a reset does not remove a Headley rollback. The Headley rollback is by state law and it will continue.
There's important distinctions to make. The TNT millage that's being renewed, that's a renewal that's allowed to use the word renewal in the ballot language. That's saying that Headley is still in effect and that that rollback calculation will continue every year. The proposal for the operating millage, that is different. That is a renewal or reset where you are authorizing a tax increase, for lack of a better term, where the millage rate will still be significantly less than it has been historically when it was first introduced, but it is expected to generate additional revenue, which would be addressing the capital expenditures and the deficiencies in our budget that were identified a number of years ago.
But Michael, just to restate what Rhonda said, assuming it gets approved in November, it's still subject to a Headley rollback.
Yes, it restarts that effort, and that's the new baseline. Sorry for the misunderstanding. And then those efforts would continue again indefinitely unless another vote was approved.
And that lies a lot of the misunderstanding.
Yes.
I've heard many times where people said, you're overriding Headley. You're doing an end run on Headley. I personally am in favor of Headley. It does control what kind of growth based on inflation that happens within your tax statement. This is not what this effort is all about. Whatever gets approved next year is subject to Headley. The following year is subject to Headley, et cetera, until it goes back on the ballot. If they could potentially, they could ask for a reset, but then that reset would again be subject to Headley.
Correct.
There is no end runs on Headley.
It is a constitutional amendment. It would require big moving piece. You would know if Headley was ending.
All right. Anything else? Please.
That's a good.
We've got another question here.
Just what? That's just what I was going to comment on. So it's important to to for everybody to realize that this is a reset, not necessarily an increase. I mean, it's what the millage was set at back, I don't know what year it was, 1982. 82. What the millage was set at in 1982. So, since then until now, Headley's been rolling back to where we're probably somewhere around 2/3 operating, close to it, maybe, is that correct? 40% decrease, yeah, so it's about 2/3. So we're operating still well under what was approved in 1982. So it's not necessarily an increase, it's a reset back to actually under what it was originally approved at. That makes sense. Yeah.
So, they're both true. It's a reset of the millage rate, but our tax base has grown. So the normal rollback procedure is as your tax base grows, your millage rate is rolled back to accommodate that growth so that we're not collecting any extra money in order to provide our services. In this case, it is a reset, but it's also not ending Headley. So it's resetting the point at which those Headley rollbacks apply. So under rate now, it's 1982 that millage was authorized. So that's the point in which we worked those millage reductions back forward in time to today. If the November vote was approved, whatever rate that was set at, starting next year, that reduction would be applied. But it is expected to bring more revenue, but it's not a new millage and it's not an increase past what is constitutionally allowable. So I guess it just depends on which way you want to look at the problem is how you'll end up doing it.
I want to add to that and then we'll get back to you, okay?
Her name,
Wait, who are you looking for?
the one that just asked, what's your name?
Cindy.
Yeah. Stuart, okay. Thank you.
Let's just use the township millage as our example, because I think I understand your question. So let's say it gets approved at 1.00. 2 years from now, let's say it's rolled back to 0.97. It could go back on the ballot at 1.00. That would be the reset. Nothing above 1.00, but back up to when it was last approved. Does that help at all? The voters making that decision, though, we're not.
This one has a sunset.
Headley doesn't go away.
And I think that's important to know.
Through a ballot
There
initiative
is-
for the taxpayers.
Let's let Michael answer this, please.
There is no way for the tax rate to increase in Benzie County without voter approval, period, end of story. This resets the starting point of Headley is the best way to think about it. So you're changing the starting point from 1982 to, in this case, 2006. But it also involves that 15 mil limit that we talked about, which is kind of why a lot of these rules are in place. So even if the tax advisory committee met and they decided that the county needed, we needed to build a palace to house our folks in for whatever reason, they're bound by the Constitution. There's a upper threshold that they can't go past. And what we asked for in August wasn't even close to that threshold. So there are protections still in place. Headley has not gone away. It is resetting the point at which that's applied. So if you didn't vote to change that, you're looking at the Headley rollbacks from 1982 to today, and it'll end up being a percentage that the millage rate is multiplied that reduces it. So it's 0.5 or 0.6, depends on the taxable value size of the individual unit. I hope that it's a little closer to what you're hoping to learn.
Can
Can I interject a little bit?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
Okay, when our general operating fund level was established in 1982, it was set at 5.29 mils. That was the upper maximum, and that's what was levied. In that statute that established it, it had the word indefinite. Not every county did. Because ours did, it said indefinite. It has rolled back continuously, according to Headley, for 44 years. You compare that to a county that didn't have the word indefinite in it and say every 5 years, their electorate considered their millage and they were asked to incrementally reset. Look, we've rolled back a little bit. Our expenses have outpaced. Can we reset 0.1 mils? This kind of thing. That's what other communities were able to do on an incremental basis. Benzie County has not addressed this in 44 years. And so the ask is a reset to a pre-approved level as an adjustment, because it's not that we're not taking in more money each year. That is a true statement. More money is coming in. The problem that we're facing is the expenses are outpacing that. And so an adjustment at this point in time would make that workable for the county in the areas that aren't mandated. We have those services because the general fund can cover them, and we assume the county appreciates having them because there's so many things that are supported that aren't mandated. So to even have the option to ask the community, can we reset to whatever levels recommended? We had to remove the word indefinite, which was done. That was approved. They said, take it out of the statute. Now the question can be asked, where do we want our general operating fund? This isn't EMS. This isn't the road commission. This is the general operating fund. Where do we need to set that? We have to ask that question, because if we don't vote on an amount, it doesn't exist. It goes to zero. Yep. You vote for the level of the millage that will be an up to amount that would be approved by the voters. And then the next process is the L 4029, where this board decides what to actually levy in a budget year. So
Let me suggest this. Connie, I hear the question. Would you allow us to maybe talk to you individually and try to better out a little bit more about what your specific question is?
If I could add one more comment for everyone. That term, it wasn't chosen really by us. It's kind of what professionals in this industry throughout the state use to refer to these efforts. And it's not on the ballot again because it's required how that ballot language appeared to you. So hopefully that gets a little bit to what you're asking.
Lindy, you were being patient back there.
Oh,
yes.
unequivocally, yes. And we've been trying to be incredibly transparent with that. One of, I think our biggest efforts was that tax calculator. So as a taxpayer, if that's what I care about, right? How many Benjamins are coming out of my pocketbook? And that is the best way and the best, most accurate, specific number that we can possibly give you folks. And it's been available to anybody at any time. Thank you.
I'm sorry, we'll come here first, John. Michael, stay there.
Requested, which we 5.22, whatever we end up making final recommendation. So I think I didn't. That there's a possibility the full amount that is. That does happen at the county level where you're not. Like, this is the maximum you need, but that's not a guarantee. But
That is to the
Can
discretion
you
of.
restate the question for the benefit of online?
Sure, the question is, once a general operating maximum is approved, does that full amount need to be levied? And the answer is no. It is an up to amount. It's always an up to amount. There have been a couple occasions where this board has reduced levies because the idea was the surplus wasn't needed. The school resource officer at one point, we did not levy the full amount needed because there were enough reserves in place in that fund that it wasn't required. It's about wants and needs. So yeah, I mean, you're stating that exactly right. This is the approved amount. Then we will look at the budget for the year and see what the needs are and levy what those needs are very transparently.
Ma'am? Appreciate the prompting. The question for those that are online is, could we put something available to the public, whether it be through social media or other media sources, that could try to boil this down without having to go through 10 pages of a document? Am I hearing you right? Okay.
And we do have some of those documents, which I'm going to hand to you when this meeting is over, created by administration. These can be found online at the administrator's site. But these have been being handed out at every meeting that I believe the commissioners attend. We've been giving these out, and I'm happy to provide these to you after the meeting. You can take a look at them.
This has been a valuable conversation. I appreciate the commissioners allowing me to break protocol, but you took the time to be here. We do want to hear from you, but then we do have to manage the meeting also. So I'm going to close out this period of it. Gentlemen, thank you, all three of you, for being here. And I'll bring it back to the commissioners. I don't believe that we've gotten a motion on this yet.
I can do it if you want. Matthew moves that the Board of Commissioners accepts the recommendations from the Tax Limitation Advisory Committee made on August 5th, 2026, and adopts a resolution approving ballot language to alter and extend the general operating millage for the county, townships, and intermediate school district, certifying language for the November 3rd, 2026 ballot.
Trigg will second.
Additional comments?
Just one, when Headley reset and you got the 3.77, where were we?
3.18.
3.18.
So it was 0.59 increase.
Thank you.
And that 3.77 is at the recommendation of the advisory board.
And just as a summary, the advisory board's recommendation is to reduce the ask. They have pivoted in response to the vote and reduce the township levy 0.2 mils and the county's ask 0.2 mils.
Very good. Any other comments?
That covers the two that we're asking to go back as separate millages? Or is there?
Those are separate.
They're separate.
No, they're separate,
Yeah.
but from what we were at before was four some.
Well,
You know what I'm asking?
We were at, if you looked at just the county operating millage and nothing more, adding no more to that burden, it was 3.98. It's being reduced to 3.77.
Came down from the ask, but I'm looking at the two millages that we're asking the voters to reinstate, TNT and animal control. Is that the same amount of coverage that we're looking at as loss or gain?
Well, we moved on those already.
I know we did, but I'm
And
just,
there was an increase being asked for animal control for the reasons already discussed.
Mhm.
For drug enforcement, there is no increase being asked.
yeah, I just like to have the figures in front of me. Yes, I
Well, they are.
get the calculator and play with it.
Well, no, they are.
Good, I'm just.
On page 188 of your PDF, I believe it's 188.
Yep, that is.
It breaks it down for you.
I think he's asking is what we've set aside for these two millages, similar to the decrease that we've, the 0.2 decrease. And I would say no.
I would say it's gonna be higher, obviously, because the higher part's gonna be the animal control.
I don't think they're equivalent.
I just like clarity.
Well, animal control, as we've already moved on, animal control is, they're asking the voter to consider an increase. On the county's operating millage that we're discussing now, if you stripped out animal control, if you stripped out drug enforcement, if you stripped out school resource officer, the ask was 3.98. That ask now has been reduced to 3.77.
I understand. All right, I'll quit.
Well, you can imagine if you're confused, how the voter
No,
feels.
that's what worries me the most is the confusion part for the voters. And here I'm playing with it almost every day, so it's tough. But we all feel the same way as far as confusion, so anyway,
A
thank
big
you.
part of the challenge is that the community's not seen this since 1984. Or 82. I mean,
They took it
a
once.
lot of them weren't even voting here then.
They weren't living here,
Right.
but I can go farther with that, so I'll quit.
We have a motion and
We do.
support. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Jeanette,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for all of your comments too. We'll be very sensitive going forward about how we provide public information, but we're on a very short window. The August vote is what, November 3rd? And we have a transition in administration. Opportunity to get out in the public like we did this last time is really limited. I know that this board will be sitting down with administration and trying to put together a strategy for communication, but it will look different than what it was this past spring and summer.
Wanted to check with Michael, will you, with this acceptance of this recommendation, be adjusting the computer, the calculator?
Changes to the tax estimator should be available by tomorrow if you'd like to check in.
So for the commissioners, by now we've taken a break, but we're getting pretty close to the end of our agenda. Are you willing just to keep on moving?
Yep.
Sure. All right. Leslie?
Sure.
You're
Okay.
Smiling like you could use a break.
It's okay. I can hang in there.
Okay.
Okay, the letter of understanding, agenda item. We've discussed this with legal counsel and the collective bargaining groups. This really is an effort for operational relief and improvement in defining hours worked. And that letter of understanding is before you now. We have had acceptance verbally from the collective bargaining units, and the FOP has signed the letter of understanding at this point. I'm still waiting for other signatures.
Is there any questions?
Yeah, can she give a real short what we're doing, if I understand it
Yes.
correctly? Because I have discussed it with other folks, but
In short, planned vacation hours will count as hours worked when processing payroll. It helps the way that we calculate overtime hours should an employee need to cover a shift. Currently in the contract, vacation hours do not count towards hours worked. And if somebody picked up a shift or worked over their 84, that would be at a regular rate instead of an overtime rate. So this operationally provides some relief, and of course, the undersheriff is here and he can speak to this as well. Provides operational relief in scheduling and filling some voids for the sheriff's department. Fair enough, undersheriff?
My understanding is this is to help eliminate somebody calling in sick and then working the day off on overtime, correct? Like a holiday? Remember
Yes,
this
the
and that?
contract already does that. The contract eliminates that as far as sick time.
Okay,
This only addresses vacation time. So if somebody had scheduled 6 months out to have Tuesday and Wednesday off, and then there was a vacant shift because we are darn near in a state of emergency for staffing on the road and within the jail. If there was a vacant shift on Thursday and they came in and covered that, they, under the contract right now, they wouldn't get paid overtime for that. Because of the way the contract's written. If I have to have people cover shifts, that they weren't originally scheduled for, it is really difficult right now to have them do it, essentially for straight time, an additional shift. So that's why this MOU was drafted. It's been approved by Matt, from our legal counsel. And, it's really a fix for this dire situation we're in as far as staffing.
Yeah, I will add that administration is supportive of the letter of understanding. And to your point, the PTO hours and comp hours do not count as hours work. So that prevents that situation where somebody might use comp one day, call in, and then pick up an extra shift. Those practices are still in place to prevent that. That's not changing, but this allows that opportunity for planned vacation time, which I do really think will help the sheriff's department and the corrections in filling some of those voids. So it's loosening up a little bit, but it's a planned loosened up on that contract. The rest remains the same with PTO and comp hours. Does that clear it up a little bit?
that helped me a lot.
And I really like how Leslie put that. We have countless meetings and countless hours into this, with some frustrations because you're dealing with people's pay. But between the union and administration, and our office administration and the sheriff, this is the best resolution we can come up with at this time. And it's fair.
Thanks for the question, Gary.
Big one to read, right?
Did you?
I'll read it. I'll try. That the Board of Commissioners authorizes a letter of understanding with the Command Officers Association of Michigan, Corrections Command Unit, and Road Command Unit, Police Officers Association of Michigan, Corrections Unit, Emergency Communications Specialist Unit, and Emergency Medical Service Unit, which clarifies the definition of hours worked going forward and authorizes the chair to sign.
Craig will second.
You still hold the record, Brenda.
I mean, you still need to shrink these up a little.
Additional comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloffs,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
motion carried.
Forgive me, Chair. I did not realize we were 2 hours in. I would like to request a break.
Okay, let's take 5
Thank you all for that.
That went quick.
at 11:02.
Oh, goodness.
And his last name.
Yes.
You are unmuted.
No problem. All right, we will call a meeting back to session at 11:10. Our next item on the agenda is committee appointments for the Betsy River Zoning Board of Appeals alternate. Does someone want to describe what that is?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
Sure. Betsy River is governed by the Natural Laws Act, the Natural Rivers Act, and the DNR oversees that. And when variances are requested or violations occur, the parties involved come before this board and there is a meeting. The meeting usually starts at 5. We have a joint board with Manistee County, and there is a site visit that starts the meeting. A packet is sent to you to see what the issue is that you'll be considering. There's a site visit, and then you go back to either Wexford or
Usually it's
Weldon
This
Township.
one's here.
The next one is gonna be here, and you discuss the issue at hand. The people who are applying for either a variance or have the violation have an opportunity to speak. And then the meeting is facilitated by a representative from the DNR. And then there is a matrix that you're given to answer a list of questions, either yes or no. And in the end, a vote is determined whether to approve with conditions, or deny, I think are the 3 options. And it's a very functional board. But right now Gary and I are assigned and we have no alternates. And so it was brought up at the last meeting that we need to get something in place. So, and
Cause I didn't make.
So
there is a meeting coming up on the 18th where I think we're gonna have an issue. I don't think I will be there. So we would like somebody to be able to attend.
So tell me, Rhonda, do we, the alternate, do they have to go to every scheduled meeting, or does either you or Gary notify them to say, can you be there in my place?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we would continue to be the assigned commissioners, but this would be in a case like the upcoming 18th meeting where an alternate would be needed.
All right.
Don't they get the packet too?
Yes.
I think they get all the information. Are we aware of what's going on?
And there are some requirements. I mean, you should have, and any one of you would fulfill those requirements. You have to have some sort of history in public health or environmental issues or DNR issues. Looking at you, Len.
Well, they look for somebody that actually is a property owner on Betsy, and they really think that's a big push too. Cause a lot of the folks that are on that board are property owners.
But for this request, we're looking for somebody from this board, right?
Oh, we're just looking for a body.
Oh, makes you want to volunteer, run right up.
That wasn't my understanding. I thought we were looking.
Yeah, I believe we're looking for, and we do have a public at large opening, and we do have a person who's expressed interest in that, but I believe there is a public at large position to fill as well. And then when the issues come forward, depending on whether they're in Manistee County or Benzie County, that's who the voters are. And that's decided prior to the meeting, and in the packet that you receive, the voting members are identified.
But for this purpose of this discussion today, we're looking for a volunteer from the Board of Commissioners.
Yes.
Well, I can recommend Lynn.
Well, I was going to volunteer. I had all the love here. Yes, judging by my very light last 2 weeks when I get to commissioner reports. Yeah, I'd like to volunteer to do this. I think it'd be a lot of fun to
A lot of
join the
fun.
board. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll close that discussion out, because I don't see anybody else jumping on it.
I'd be happy to nominate him if you need a motion.
I don't think we do. I think I can do the appointment.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Len, you're it.
Alrighty.
What I don't want to do is get a phone call that says Len didn't show up when he was supposed
Oh,
to.
I'll be there.
I'm just kidding. Just trying to make it light. Okay, let's go to commissioner reports. Bob, we're going to start off with you today.
Sure, I only had a couple meetings. Last week was Area Agency on Aging. It's a 10 county board. their biggest problem constantly is enough caregivers to handle all the folks that have needs. As well, Veteran Affairs met yesterday, and we have a special meeting planned for Monday, the 17th. And that's all I have.
Questions for Bob? Rhonda?
Sure. I attended agenda review and AP review. I had water smart land use, shoreline stewardship event was discussed that occurred. John Ransom covered that. Updates were given from different townships and how progress is going on their master plans. And the zone was referenced. It's in Caligo's hands right now and expecting kind of a December launch. The Village of Benzonia, their next month regular meeting will be on the 14th since their regular meeting falls on Labor Day. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to solicit public input on the new tower offer on Seventh Street being requested by, I think it's Telecom Inc. Their master plan has several spots in it where it says, should this occur, this kind of thing, you need public input. So they're recommending that the board do that. The board is waiting on input from their attorney as to how to respond to that request for a tower on Seventh Street. The new treasurer at the Village of Benzonia connected with our county clerk. There were questions about the status of board members regarding elections. And so she took some time to work through that and let folks know what their terms were and who was up and what they need to do to go forward. The Japanese knotweed treatment is going to go on for about 3 to 4 years. They're going to treat it after it flowers to avoid impact on the bees. They're going to have an auditor presentation on September 14th. I attended the Headley Reset meeting. We just met after the vote to discuss how to move forward and potential outcomes of different options. I attended a DHHS Zoom meeting. The negotiations are going well. Terms and responsibilities are being laid out clearly. And so far, those negotiations seem to be extremely cordial. I attended the Central Wellness Executive Meeting, the PIHP versus the MDHHS update. The PIHP bid out is that the contracts have been signed, which means we are, there is stability for at least 2 years involving our community mental health. Traverse City dropped out of our crisis intervention officer through Central Wellness. They added Alcona County. So now the participating members are Benzie, Manistee, Antrim, and Alcona. The CEO search is a little behind on their timeline. The RFP has been published and we will be updated with current candidate list on Thursday. And I attended the tax advisory committee meeting. Much appreciation for folks involved in that. And just wanted to give a shout out for senior resources. I participated in their Blueberry 5K dash and it was very well run, a beautiful setting, and it was a great day for it.
Did you win?
I did, I won.
Of course you did. What kind of question is that?
Very well run. 5K was great.
Very well. That's all.
Comments or questions for Rhonda?
Wasn't all uphill then.
No.
Then,
Okay, just a couple things. Attended the Tax Limitation Advisory Committee meeting on the 5th. We've gone over that in great detail, so not much to report on that. Then last night, I went to the Inland Township meeting. Other than some disrespectful public comments aimed at specific board members, which I didn't appreciate, but again, I'm just a visitor there. The board actually got a lot done last night. A lot of ordinance approvals and infrastructure improvements that were voted on and passed. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Pretty light. I have that weird gap that in certain weeks you have 1 or 2 meetings, but this week I've got tonight or tomorrow night Colfax meeting. Thursday's the EDC special meeting, and of course Monday's the LAPC LPT meeting. So a lot bunched up in the next few days.
Questions comments for Lynn?
Just one, the supervisor over in Inland. Is that opened up yet? I'm.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
gonna leave.
the person who won the primary was there and was very vocal in public comments as well. So, yep, she was present, but Ben is still running the meeting for foreseeable future.
Plans into the future, I guess. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know what happens when they move in a couple weeks. But I guess I should find out. I'll reach out and find out if Monica's taking over or not.
Once he moves out of the area, you can't be supervisor.
Right, exactly. So she might take over right away.
Just
I'll find
assume that they would probably appoint somebody in an
interim, yeah. I can research it and find out for you, definitely.
Thank
You understand they have to be appointed just because she's on the ballot unopposed.
Right.
Doesn't mean she's automatic.
Oh, agreed. Right. Yep.
And they have 45 days from the day they receive his resignation letter to appoint somebody.
Oh, that's-
Otherwise, a special election.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh, good to know. Okay.
Good observation. Any other comments for Lynn? Gary?
Well. See what kind of mess I got here. You can read my report. I did. Oh, let's see here. Betsy Valley Trail Art. Give me a little information on that. And last night at Thompsonville, the TARP or whatever they call it, the Thompsonville Revitalization Group. They are 70% complete with the project. That was good. And can't remember who they told me they hired as the construction, same group that's been working there. And their donations have been huge. They were able to get a match of 50,000, I think. Sure. Anyway, they raised 50,000 and they got a match of 50,000. So that was good.
That was the MEDC.
Was it the MEDC that got it to them? And the Friends of the Elite Asphalt thing is where they heat the asphalt up and then smooth it back out. I don't know if they add to it or what. And that's going to be done before the Ironman. $40,000 worth of repairs that they've cited, and the Friends are going to pay for majority of it. And possibly some of the money from the Trail Management Council, some of our funds might be used. Also set in on a preliminary thing with the signage for the Betsy Valley Trail and the Crystal Lake Outlet Project. Not sure. We're under the impression, for some reason, I think Sean Johnson was under the impression that there was extra money for that, but it comes out of the grant. So we got to be careful what we're looking at. Went to Blaine and Joyfield, and Representative Roth was at both. I think pretty good. The one thing that still sticks out to me, because I wrote it down anyway, Blaine had 25 voters. Wage cost averaged out $161.20 per vote. Weldon had 26 voters in the early voting. Don't know how I don't know. I complained to Roth, so we'll see. Yeah, pretty good. Thompsonville last night. The Friends were there too. They've got the one grant for the Thompsonville back, and they've got the preliminary approval for the MDOT grant, which was $1 million. And they will go up from Homestead as far as it'll go. She had a mileage, but I didn't write it down. And they have the 110,000 for the match. 100. Talk to you about it. It was interesting. The campground at Thompsonville got $19,000 from the tribe as a grant for some upgrades, which I thought was super. Don't know if we got anything here locally. Didn't hear it brought up.
It's in our.
It's in there? Okay, then I didn't read it. All right. The last thing I'm gonna do, because my Art forcing me to do this. And put my name in for the at-large position at the MAC board. And right now, of course, everything's done. Nobody ran against me, so might be a good chance I might get on there.
Good.
So, little help, and Jeff Dotz is running for our region. But I do need you folks to be there and vote and nominate, if you would. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's where we're going.
Questions or comments for Gary? Gary, with respect to the MAC board, didn't I understand right that Brian Koch, the incoming president or chair, he's supporting your nomination also, right?
Back out to him, see if I can get him to.
And you're running unopposed, just like,
Everybody except the UP guy. There's a fight in the UP. I don't get him. But the one guy's name is Joe, and they always elect somebody named Joe, so I'm not putting a bias here, but thought it was odd that the only competition was in the UP.
Gary and I had this conversation. I think it's to our benefit as a county to have representation on that board. I don't believe we've had it if we've ever, well, we may have had it at one time, but if you want to be part of the discussion, you got to be at the table.
Well, I like the fact that we're getting quite a bit of representation from our district. Chair and Jeff, and it'd be good.
Very good. If there's nothing else, Christie?
So I went to the Lake Township meeting the other August 6th, and they had Joe Nadeau from the Road Commission. What they found is that they were getting some communications from the Road Commission, but they didn't quite know how to engage. And so they asked for somebody to come out and kind of talk to them about that. And he talked about road projects and how the townships have representation, and they have special meetings where they talk about what roads are going to be done in certain years, and they're trying to plan out their budget for the year. And so it was very good. He talked about how some townships are more engaged than others, and it sounds like Lake Township is trying to be more engaged. And so I thought that was really great. And he had some really great things to talk about, and I would encourage any township to invite the Road Commission out. It was a really great presentation. Something else that the township talked about was possibly putting their own operating millage on the ballot, because they were concerned, right, that the county millage fails, which is bumps in the townships. And so they were concerned that for their budget, their coming budget years, they might not get what they need as well. So they talked about it, and they decided that they were not going to do it because they thought maybe it would be too confusing. They wanted to see what the tax advisory committee put out. And so they thought that they would wait how the next village goes. But I thought that was interesting that they were trying to kind of take that lead and be like, oh, this affects us. What can we do? And that was one discussion point, possibly doing their own millage. And they decided that they weren't going to do that at this time.
I comment on that. Because it was brought up at Joyfield too. It's in there. They're talking a special assessment. The way I understand it legally, they can't. They could ask for a fire assessment or a fire millage. There's only certain things the township can ask, because we're all tied in together. like it or
Yes.
not. So that's how it is.
According to Lake Township, they reached out to they reached out to the MTA and they said that yes, they could do that on a special extra millage. But again, that's not what we understand. So there's a conflict there.
MTA is not illegal.
Right.
Well, they did reach out to their legal counsel too. There is conflicting opinions on this. You know, we've discussed it.
Sorry, I'm not the chair.
So what they would have been referring to in that last bit about the extra voted, that would be an extra millage outside of operating for operating purposes. It would fall under different rules. So it would be outside that 15 mil constitutional limit that we discussed previously. Not aware of any way for the township to place individual operating millage under that constitutional limit on the ballot. It has to go through the same process that we've been through.
But you're saying that they could do something kind of outside of that and have like a little special, and maybe that's what the MTA was talking about?
Well, there's special assessment districts like Gary's unit was talking about, and those are a subset typically of parcels that are assessed an extra fee for a specific purpose, but I don't believe they're authorized for general operating expenditures, whereas you could pass an extra voted one for some of those purposes, but it would be under those extra voted rules, which means it doesn't fall under the 15 mil constitutional limit. It at most can exist for 20 years, and it's still part of the Headley rollback.
We need to be perfectly clear that it's not this group's position to tell the townships what they can and cannot do. They seek legal counsel and they follow whatever their legal counsel tells them to do. We did get differing opinions, but at the end of the day, those are decisions they make. We don't make for them. And what's most important is to know that Lake Township said, let's not pursue this. I believe Crystal Lake Township took the same action too, by the way.
I don't know if they had a special meeting, talk about that.
The word got back to me that they had contemplated it and decided not to do it.
Oh, did they?
All right, anything else, Christie?
Nope, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Attended the Central Wellness Customer and Service Relations Committee. Patrick Kolozowski, the Director of Access and Emergency Services, led the committee through a review and discussion of the Central Wellness Network Program eligibility and medical necessity guideline. Basically, that is the aid that they use in determination of admission, treatment, transfer, and discharge of services. It was about a 20-some page guidelines, and it was pretty well detailed and it frequently referenced Michigan State mental code law. I attended the Village of Honor Council meeting. The village clerk resigned and the council will be replacing an ad to replace her. A village resident actually did 2 petitions, and because of those, the Village of Honor will have 2 questions for their voters on the November ballot. One question is, shall a Village of Honor adopt a Village of Honor Citizens Compensation Committee ordinance? Purpose of that ordinance is to create an independent citizens committee with the authority to establish and adjust the compensation of elected village officials and employees. The second question is, shall the Village of Honor adopt a waste revenue sewer offset ordinance? And the purpose of that ordinance is to reduce the sewer utility charges on rental businesses, customers by allocating net revenues derived from municipal solid waste collection services to offset sewer system costs. Questions?
You got me really confused. What the heck?
What's going on?
That's gonna be on November's ballot?
Yes, sir.
If I receive it by 4 p.m. today.
Oh, you haven't got it.
Maybe they'll wait until the next, basically somebody's not happy with the wages that the Village of Honor has for their elected officials and employees. He thinks that his taxes are being affected too much because of that. And I suspect the same is with the waste revenue sewer offset ordinance as well.
Got the signatures.
Didn't originate with the village council. It's originated from
Correct.
I see.
So the upside is that the citizens are engaged. And I think that's important that they are. Tim, based on your reporting the last few months, it really sounds like that village council is kind of taking on new energy.
They're a young group for one, youngest council committee, whatever that I've interacted with since I've been into politics, which is very refreshing to see that bunch of young people doing this. They're the ones who started doing the quarter improvement authority, in the village, very aggressive trying to get stuff done. They went out and got funds and did some great updates to the playground. They're doing a lot of technology updates within the village, trying to do some beautification stuff down the corridor. Yeah, they're doing some really good things.
Great. Any other comments for Tim? Tammy, you want to give us a report on the election?
Yeah, the election went fairly good. We had I think it was 606 people that participated in the early voting. Still, AV ballots are the highest return. I can't off the top of my head tell you how many there were, but that's where the highest turnout is AV ballots. We have, the election does not stop as soon as 8 p.m. on the election day, because then we have to have the canvassers, which they were here for the last Thursday and Friday to canvass the election results. We had a lot of paper jams with our ballots going through the tabulator. We noticed that the paper was a little thinner, but when we contacted the company, they said that that was a weight that they could have. It was within standard. So we don't know, between the lightness of the paper and the humidity that was out there, and then you throw in there where you're running AV ballots that have been folded in an envelope through the tabulators, sometimes they will jam. And at the end of the night, we had 3 townships that had jams that felt that they had a ballot that went through twice. They thought it had been not counted when it first got jammed, so they ran it through. So again, and then they found that it had counted twice. There's no way to know what ballot that is, because tabs are torn off before they feed through the machine. They couldn't do anything till we get to the Board of Canvassers. The Board of Canvassers brought in those 3 townships. They retabulated their ballots, and we came out where we had a vote of 3 off. It did change our separate tax limitation vote to 3 less. So now we had a 12-point difference between them. Those numbers have all been calculated. We're now waiting. The Board of Canvassers will be in on Thursday at 10 to see if we have any signature cure ballots. Those are AV ballots that when they were received by the local clerk on election day, maybe they did not sign the outside of their envelope, or the signature did not match what they had in QVF. So the local clerks have to reach out to these individuals either by phone, text, email, or send a letter saying, we need you to contact us. You didn't sign your envelope. You need to come in and sign it, or the signature doesn't look the same. People have 3 days to cure that before their ballot can be counted. That deadline was 5 p.m. last Friday. And as of this time, none of the townships, we had 4 of them out there with signature cure, and none of the township had gotten them back. Then the other deadline was the move ballots, the military and overseas ballots. As long as they're postmarked by election day, they have 6 days to come into us. I've only heard from 1 township so far today that said that they did not receive their move ballots back. There were 6 of those out there. So what will happen if any of those move ballots come back? When the canvassers are here on the 13th, they will have to open those envelopes and add those people are voting AV.
Tammy, we still had, as a percentage, had a higher turnout than the average for the state, right?
Yes, we did.
You've got a lot of engaged citizens. Glad to hear that and see that. Anything else, Tammy?
Nope, that's it. Well, we're ramping up for November now, and I was just told that there's 4 PM today.
Probably heard. There's nothing else. You had my report in advance of the meeting. Couple of things that I want to touch on out of Lake Township to add to what Christie said. The Frankfurt fire chief was there, and he did share with us that they purchased a small rescue boat that is going to be used, I assume, on Crystal Lake and Lake Michigan. So it's on the smaller lakes. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that? And apparently they got $146,000 grant to purchase some select equipment. Anything you want to add to that? And they are looking at, Ironman has come back and said they'd like to get an extension of 3 years on the contract. Talking about the millage request. Also, we've been working with the state of Michigan regarding the lease agreement with DHHS. I'll ask you to speak to that when you give your report. That is probably occupied, I'd say, 70% of our time, certainly my time, and will continue to for a while. We want to make sure that we're available to Leslie so that she can be successful. Questions? Leslie?
Okay, thank you. Yes, we've been pretty busy in the administration office. Last week, Chris was on vacation. This week, Katie's on vacation. But we're doing a great job keeping up with the work. I do want to thank all the staff that's been helpful. In particular, Michael Beach has spent a lot of time lately helping me through some things with the L4029s and whatnot. So thank you to Michael for that. The MAC conference is coming up September 9th through the 11th. If you are going and want to register, you need to let Carissa know, and Carissa will register you. So make sure you do that. I best to make sure that transition happens as quickly as possible, but just a heads up to the public that if you come in on the 20th and the treasurer's office is down, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to navigate payments and things like that. So, but hopefully after the 21st, that will be all smoother sailing once we adjust to being on BSNA Online, which is the cloud. We have open enrollment coming up for staff, so I'll get that message out to all of our staff, but that's the last week in August for 1 week. So another HR update is that Nadia Gray did accept the position offer for the IT support specialist. We're super excited about that. She's very excited about that, and she will begin on Monday, the 17th. So we will welcome her as well as Chris Bush as the ACO. So those are some great HR updates there. The DHHS lease was brought to us, and we've been navigating that. They have quite a renovation that they would like to do to the building, and so Art, myself, Rhonda has been at a meeting, and Katie, we've looked through that lease, and we are negotiating what we think would be best for that in terms of the lease payment and the rate, and how does this all work if, of course, this is not approved yet. This is just getting this to what we're comfortable presenting to you guys. Some of the things were, they've been working with us very well, to be frank. They wanted us to be the general contractor, and we said, no, we're not going to be the general contractor. And the state doesn't normally do that. The state normally has that local entity be the general contractor for the project, but they're looking into how can they do that appropriately. Some of the other things we were concerned about is if there's a big renovation downstairs, how does that affect our ADA requirements? Will it trigger any other ADA requirements in this building? For example, the front door would need to be updated should that be a trigger point, and they have said that they're going to work with us on those costs as well and be very mindful of that. Of course, they won't know those things until plans are developed and they have a contractor. Some of the other points were the shared kitchen space downstairs. As you may or may not know, Benzie County staff here does not have a kitchen facility to wash any dishes. We do all of that in the bathrooms. Just kind of disgusting. So this would open up a shared space back in the building for a break room and a kitchen, which also would be a very nice thing to have too. I don't have my DHH lease in front of me. Is there any other key points that you want me to mention about working with the state on this?
Because we're still negotiating, we can
Yeah.
probably leave it at that. This full lease, once it's negotiated, will come to the board for your approval, so you'll get to see the detail of it. I'm confident that you're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. The internet was the other thing we're looking at too, is
We've been working
Nice.
through monetary issues and that I don't want to get into here. But
Renewal timelines.
renewal timelines.
mhm.
Bottom line is that we're pushing a lot of it back to them and not for free.
How long a lease? We're looking at.
Well, it'd be a 20-year lease, but we're proposing it in stages, of which probably premature for me to get into what that is. But it will definitely be to the benefit of the county. The way we've approached this is, you've had a good ride with us for the last 20 years. It's our turn now. Thank you, Leslie. for
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome. That really is my brief administrator's report. To be honest, I haven't had a ton of time to put a report together for you because we're just churning through some work. If there's any questions you have on anything specific, I'd be more than happy to field that.
Questions or comments for Leslie?
I just want to comment that I appreciate Leslie offering the administrator office to the public. To me, that's huge. To be thankful to do that.
We did have some members of the public come in yesterday and ask about ballot language, so that was great.
Good.
Yeah.
We need to be patient. Leslie has informed Rhonda and I, and then the rest of the board. And at this point, she just wants to work with 2 people in that office. Although you have the flexibility if you find you need somebody else. And this will be a growing experience for everyone. But Leslie, I got complete confidence in you that you're going to be up to the task. Anything else? If nothing else, you have correspondence in your packet that you've had an opportunity to look over. I'd like to open up the last public comment at 11:49. Anybody like to speak? We'll close public comment and move for adjournment. Please come up. I knew you had to be here for some reason. You've been patient.
Yes. Sorry, I'm Amy Erforth. I'm the superintendent for Benzie Central Schools. There was a lot of conversation today about operating millage and the L 4029. So I thought I would at least clarify the school portion for operating millage. So as it was stated earlier, the schools have a separate amount of money that can be levied, which is the 18 mills. That was back in around 1990 when the Headley rollback went into effect. That Headley rollback made it a mandatory opportunity for 18 mills to be levied for school operating purposes, meaning day-to-day teacher salaries, paying for bus fuel, having electricity, things like that. Those operating mills get rolled back each year, just like what the Headley is intended to do. What is going to happen though is that because the operating mills are levied on non-homestead properties, meaning if you live on your property, you are exempted from paying this millage. This is only levied on commercial, vacant land, vacation homes, second home properties, things like that. It is not on people's primary residence. So if your address is where you vote and you live there and own that, you do not pay the operating millage. And I think that was a big misunderstanding for people. The bigger impact for schools is though, the state says they expect that we are bringing this 18 mills to our voters each and every time that the rollback happens. That's why on our ballot proposal, we were asking for up to 18 mills. It says 2.5 mills would be levied, but we can only levy 18 mills, meaning we can't ask for more than that. 18 is the max. And if you own your property, you are not impacted by this. The bigger impact to schools is this is how schools receive their funding to operate. If we roll back below 18 mils, the state says, well, you didn't levy the full amount, so we're not going to make you whole. You don't get to collect your full revenue. So this coming year, it would be a $66,000 loss. Next year, though, Headley's going to roll back again. Next year, our rollback would be about 17.5272, and that would be around $376,000. One thing I think that people don't realize is Benzie Central Schools is the second largest employer for our county, meaning that we employ almost 200 people, 162 full-time people. And then we operate with Chartwells, which is a third-party vendor that employs around 16 people. Sorry, you want me to
I'm gonna
stop?
let you finish. Yeah.
Okay, and we also work with WillSub. So essentially what we're saying is that if you look around and you check your neighbors probably work for us. And by eliminating the operating millage means that you've probably just impacted your neighbor's job and livelihood. And I think people also don't understand, as a public school, we are required by law to educate every child that shows up on our doorstep, regardless if funding is provided to us or not. So I just want to make sure that people understand that operating millage is completely separate. It does not show up on your property tax if you own your residence. And I just want to make sure that was clear, because we had a lot of conversation about that today. The sinking fund is different, and the sinking fund is infrastructure pieces. You can only use sinking fund for specific things. I can build a wall, I can't paint the wall. I could install a scoreboard, the electrical line, but I can't pay for a scoreboard. So essentially, sinking fund is infrastructure. We've spent sinking fund dollars over the last 10 years remodeling buildings, putting on new roofs. It actually was what was used to help make the full bond project go through, because we reduced the ask of that bond project. So we had a lengthy conversation last night at our meeting about maybe reducing our sinking fund ask. And the question came up, do we really have a lower need? Or are we just saying we're going to kick the can down the road? And earlier this year, I was here, and Rhonda, you and I talked about this, that we closed buildings, we sold properties. We had to do that because Benzie Central Schools passes a bond about every 20 to 25 years. So Platte River and Crystal Lake fell into disrepair that could not be managed because our operating costs paid day to day, it does not cover infrastructure. Michigan does not cover that. So we had to go ahead and ask our community to support it. They were gracious in supporting us, but those new buildings and new facilities will need to be maintained. In 10 years, Homestead Hills will be 13 years old. Lake Ann will be almost 40 years old. They will need maintenance and repairs. And if we don't do anything to keep the infrastructure going, we will have to likely come back and ask for a bigger amount of money, which we don't want to do. We want to keep our buildings functional. So thank you. Sorry to take up more than 3 minutes.
Would anybody else like to address the commissioners? All right, we'll move for adjournment now.
Motion, adjourn.
Support.